What's going on, world? It's your boy, the author. Right back at that ass again. Here's another one. Well, I should have said, what's up, world? This is your main man, the author. I was saying your boy for quite some time, and then I had to remember my age. So I used to say it's your boy, the author, but now it's your main man, the author. So yeah, now that we done got that straight, man, I just wanted to make this brief video, man. And this idea happened to just hit me like a lightning bolt, man. Um, I might entitle this. It's like and I hate using the term African Americans, but it seems like blacks want respect from the whole entire world, but don't respect each other. For example, and again, blacks want respect from the whole world, or quote unquote, especially African Americans, want respect from the whole world, but have the hardest time respecting each other. For example, perfect example hit me today. A young boxer by the name of Cassius Clay, right? You've heard of him before, right? Probably the most famous heavyweight boxer in history. I think it's more books or movies have been written about him than Jesus. I mean, he's very famous. Once upon a time, his name was Muhammad Ali. Was Cassius Clay, and Cassius Clay, based on his religious beliefs, changed his name from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali. Right. So when Cassius Clay changed his name to Muhammad Ali, Howard Cosell, he was like a sports news broadcaster in the 60s and 70s. Very famous. Him and Muhammad Ali had a lot of famous interviews. But Howard Cosell was a white guy, right? He always called when Muhammad Ali had his name, or when Cassius Clay changed his name to Muhammad Ali, Howard Cosell didn't have any problems with calling Cassius Clay and Muhammad Ali. But guess who had the biggest problem with calling Muhammad Ali by his name? Guess who used to still call him Cassius Clay, which is very disrespectful, because he transitioned away from that Christian name because he had moved to the Muslim faith, right? So calling him by his former name is very disrespectful. But guess who disrespected him the most during the 60s and 70s when he had changed his name? That's right, other African Americans, other black people. Matter of fact, him and this boxer, he really beat this boxer really bad, because the boxer's talking about, if your mama call you Cassius Clay, then I'ma call you I'ma call you what your mama called you, as if what his mother called him when he lived with her has anything to do with this guy. Once a guy changes his name, he changes his name, him or her, right? And I was thinking about my situation, man. I primarily go by my middle name. And like, for example, white people. When I was on my previous job, my manager, he said, well, do you like to be called by your first name or your middle name? I said, well, I feel more comfortable being called by my middle name, because my first name makes me feel like I'm a kid in school, blah, blah, blah. So, but I said, the preference is up to you, because he was our floor manager. He was like, no. If you want to be called by your middle name, I will call you by your middle name. No questions asked. End the subject. Every time he pulled me into his office, he called me by my middle name, what I wanted to be called by. All right, and this is a guy I work for. Guess who has the hardest time calling me by my middle name? other blacks, primarily blacks in my family, blacks on the job, or quote unquote African Americans. And behind them, guess who's next? And I heard this from a Puerto Rican guy on my job, talking about if your mama called you, because Puerto Ricans try to follow blacks in a lot of cases, just keeping it real, just like with this new Puerto Rican trap music. I mean, come on, man. You know where they got that from. The Spanish guys who signed with Rick Ross. Talking about I talked to the guy. He's talking about, well, they're not influenced by. Come on, man. Rick Ross signed those dudes, and now you got Puerto Rican trap music. I mean, they weren't doing that before, so they always try to follow blacks, right? And they follow them in terms of disrespect as well, or I should say us, in terms of disrespect, even though not all of us, but as a collective, they follow us with disrespect. So he said the same thing the dude who fought Muhammad Ali said. Well, if your mama called you by your first name, now I'm going to call, as if, like, dude, I haven't lived with my mother in 20 or 30 years. Besides, what she calls me is irrelevant. If I wish to be called XYZ, and blacks have a hard time calling me by my middle name. Now, my middle name is on my birth certificate. I have a first name, just like most people. I have a first name, a middle name, and a last name. Okay? They're all three names are still my name. I just have a first, a middle, and a last. They're telling me my middle name isn't my real name. Okay? My first, middle, and last name is on my birth certificate. My first, middle, and last name is on my driver's license. My first, middle, and last name is on the deed to my home. How are you going to tell me my middle name? My middle name is just as much my name as my first name. But if blacks have a hard time, and like my own family members, my mother said, well, I named you by your first name. Yeah, you gave me a middle name and a last name as well. Why can't I make a choice in terms of which one of those names I want to be called by? In the military, I just was called by my last name, right? They didn't even call you a first or a middle name at all. Military vets know where I'm coming from. But why can't it be my choice? And same thing with Muhammad Ali. I mean, he changed his name, and they was going to still call. He changed his name completely to an entirely different name, right? Which is his preference, because he changed his faith, and they had a hard time calling him by his new name. Blacks have a hard time calling me by my middle name, and that is my name. So my point is not so much about names, but and if someone calls us a nigga or acts like they don't want us around, or tells us after we eat at a restaurant that we should move on, and people wonder why, and we get offended by that. Blacks get offended by that treatment. And I'm not saying we should be treated like that, but some of our race has become real assholes, man. And that's just clearly stated, man. I'm not saying I'm free of it, but I don't believe that I'm the same way as the majority of our race, man. And we treat each other worse. And I mean, because if you treat your own people bad, then that's going to overflow, and you're going to treat the rest of the world poorly as well. But we groom our teeth on our own people, man. We treat each other poorly, man. But what I notice in the inner city is the worst kids in the inner city, when they come up with nicknames, the inner city will respect that. They'll call Pookie Pookie and Hitman. They'll call those ghetto superstars by their nicknames. But if a regular guy wants to be called by his middle name, there's a problem. Ali wants to change his name based on his religious beliefs, and there's a problem. But if he wanted to change his name if he stayed in the inner city during the 60s and wanted to change his name to Scat Cat, then the black community would have called him Scat Cat. Just stupid shit. So, and that's my thing, man. Let me take this brief break right here. Got that 19 Crimes on you again. This is brought to you by a 19 Crimes production, red wine. I shouldn't promote them. I'm not getting anything off of this. But they do have some good red wine if you want to check them out. Anyway, my point being, man, we are very disrespectful, quote unquote, African Americans, and I believe it's the same with Jamaicans and Africans as well. Very disrespectful toward each other, and small things. I mean, that's small. So if we disrespect each other in that small way, I mean, just like with Mos Def and Bamboozle, he's like, I'm not asking you to call me, you know what I'm saying? I'm asking you to call me by my name. You know, that's it. And usually when I go on jobs or when I encounter other African Americans who are quote unquote African Americans, I hate using that term, but for political correctness or so people can understand where I'm coming from, I'll use that term. I have the hardest time getting respect like that from other African Americans. And you would think that wouldn't be the case. You would think white people would have the hardest time respecting my wishes. And I have had some white teachers tell me that they like my first name better. But as a whole, outside of school, man, the people who gave me the hardest time is like my own family members, you know, and like with Muhammad Ali, you know, I'm pretty sure his family members still, even you know, my grandfather, even in the 90s, 2000, he will still, if you ask him now, he's about 88. If you ask him now about Muhammad Ali, he will still call him Clay. I'm like, what the fuck, man? And and that something small like that can let you know a lot about a person. It's not the big things so much. I mean, big things can tell the tale, right? But small things really tell a whole lot if you look behind them, man. He will still call, and he grew up, I mean, he's pretty much close to the same age as you know, that Muhammad Ali passed, of course. But Muhammad Ali and him is not too far. You don't have too much of an age difference. So just like me and Floyd Mayweather, my grandfather and Muhammad Ali is not too far, because me and Floyd are only like 1 year apart. My grandfather and Muhammad Ali, I think, are only a few years apart. But, you know, so he grew up seeing him in the 60s, and he still if you ask him today about Muhammad Ali, he'll still call him Clay by his, and Muhammad Ali denounced that name way before he passed. Like, he denounced that name in the 60s, over 50 or 60 years ago. About 50 years ago, he denounced that name. But and I bet you it's other old black men who will still call Muhammad Ali Clay. But you don't hear too many whites doing that, though. You think it will be white people calling him Clay, disrespecting him like that. That's our own people, man. And not just blacks abroad, I mean blacks right here in this country. And so if you're being assholes to your own, then you probably will assume that you're assholes to the rest of the world, man. You know, so in terms of that, man, it's hard to stand behind a quote unquote black cause when I really know how the majority of black people treat each other. I mean, when you want to go for, you know, black civil rights or whatever, nowadays it's gonna be a joke, man, because we don't treat each other with respect, even on a basic level. You know, you can't, a basic level, you can't even call this man by his name based on his religious beliefs. He transitioned from a Christian name to a Muslim name. Okay. based on his religious beliefs. He changed his name, and you can't respect that. Why? Because his mama called him Cassius Clay, so I'ma call. What does his mother have to do with that? That man won the gold medal. He changed his name when he was a professional fighter. He wasn't living with his mother during that time. And even if he was, if he's a grown man, it's his decision on what he wants to be called. He legally changed his name. And the only people that'll still call him Clay are other black people. Disrespect. And like I said, my family members are the first ones who disrespect me in terms of not wanting to call me by my middle name. Other blacks on jobs, the first ones who will call me by my first name, even though I've told them I prefer to be called by the middle name. One older black said he's old enough to be my father, so he should be able to call me whatever he pretty much wants. I'm like, really? So but you're not my father. You know what I'm saying? So, and even if you were, I'm a full grown man. I don't have, I'm 40 plus years old. I don't have the right to say I want to be called by my middle name. Like, we don't use nicknames. You call Day Day, but the street dudes you'll respect like that. Why? Because he'll go upside your head if you don't respect him like that. I mean, why do we have to, in order to get respect from another black, you have to brutalize that black? I mean, that's terrible, man. I guess street guys have figured that out, but yeah, man. I just think that, we're not, as a race, we're not going to move forward by being assholes to each other. Because you're just going to make common blacks not want to be around the majority. And that's going to weaken the race because thugs aren't going to start a revolution. Thugs don't care about the betterment of the race. And you're making other people not really care either because they say, okay, well, how do black lives matter? And that snowballs into a bunch of other things. Like, how do black lives matter when blacks are killing each other every day? That's the first argument people come up with. And I would say, okay, well, just because there's black on black crime doesn't give white officers the pass to kill other blacks. But at the same time, the world is watching. And I can see why black life is so cheap to other blacks when, when we can't respect each other's wishes even on a small level. So we can't respect each other's wishes in terms of you calling me what I wish to be called. Then, of course, the younger generation, that's going to snowball into people not respecting each other's wishes, people not respecting each other's property, eventually people not respecting each other's lives. Black lives don't matter. Black people don't respect the lives of other black people. And younger black people, a lot of times, are taking the cue from older black people. So when older black people are on that bullshit, they say, well, older black people don't respect each other, then, as a hoodlum, I'm not going to respect this other nigga, so I can kill him. So it's just a small seed that just it snowballs into something bigger and bigger and bigger, So, and I just think it's a shame, man. But the sun is not going to shine, on our people until we can pretty much start treating each other with some type of dignity and respect. You want respect from the rest of the world. You want to be looked at as human. You have to treat each other with some type of respect, man. Start on a basic level. If a white person can respect my wishes, surely a black person, quote unquote African American, should be able to respect my wishes. But a lot of times it's reversed. It's the opposite, man. Like I said, I'll tell a white to respect what I want to be called. He or she will respect that. I'll give them an option. They'll say, no, 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 no. If you feel more comfortable being called by your middle name, we'll do that. Just like what the whites do with Muhammad Ali. I've never heard a white person say Cassius Clay. Now they may have said it before he changed his name, but I haven't heard a white person call Muhammad Ali Cassius Clay since before, in some of the 1960s, the older interviews. But you can still hear blacks say Clay today. My own grandfather, if you ask him, I guarantee he'll say, "Oh yeah, Clay." It's like, and then you wonder why your kids don't care about you, your grandkids don't care about you. That little small, and and it doesn't matter if you know him personally or not. That small grain of disrespect you think is small is the same disrespect you show to yourself, the same disrespect you show to your family, the same disrespect you show to your friends, if you have any that are worth a shit. So I just wanted to put that out there, man. But let me know if you think this is if you've encountered this. Let me know. Leave a comment. Be sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell, and y'all take care and be safe out there. All right. All right.